So, as you can see, I can't. Seam sealed. Went ahead, I never stripped this old seam sealer off, but it was cracked, so went ahead and seam sealed over the top of that. Still didn't do here, mind you. Jimmy says we didn't take these off, so I don't know. Anyways, did the drip rails. Did the quarter seams. Did these quarter seams. Did the trunk gutter. Rear body panel. Up underneath here. Both sides. Anyways, I think I'm done seam sealing. So now it's time to mask. And I've got a roll of gray Scotch-Brite, which isn't really Scotch-Brite because that's the 3M thing and this is Mirka. But before I paint, I will scuff over this whole thing with gray Scotch-Brite because it's been a while since I sanded it, and I don't ever like final sanding a car and then letting it sit for weeks before you paint. Depending on how cured the primer is, it can kind of reseal up, and your mechanical adhesion will not be so great. So try to sand, you know, relatively soon before you paint. So once it's masked and ready, I'll scuff over it with the gray, and then I'll clean it and be ready to spray. Something else I have to do is figure out the stripes, the width, and the space in between. Because I have to put stripes on the body. And obviously the deck lid's not on it, so to line them up. So I'm just going to do the stripes on here, and then I'll base the deck lid later, put the deck lid on the car, lay out the stripes, take the deck lid back off, and paint it. So as far as now, I just need to make sure I get them centered and get them straight. It's the only way I can think of to do it. The only other thing I could do is to paint the car, only put like 2 coats of clear back here or so, and then resand this panel to the seam, put the deck lid on the car when I base it, lay out both stripes together, and then just clear, do the tape trick, if you know what that is, and just re-clear this panel, which would leave a little fuzziness in the seam, which you could probably hand rub out. That is not the ideal way to do it. I think the way I'm gonna do it is better, as long as I get them in the middle. Should be able to find the middle off of, you know, being that it's the middle. So anyway, now it's time to start masking. So masking is always a good time. One of my favorite things. It's something I'm really fast at, and so it should only take me 3 days. I'm really slow at masking, if you don't pick up on what I'm putting down. And here we are again. Not sure how long it's been since I seam sealed this, but a few days, a week, a month, or even a year. As you can see, I'm masking. Just have to do the bottom, the pinch weld, and wheel wells, and the rear body. Tape that all down to the floor. And that's it for masking on the body. I can Scotch-Brite the car, blow it off, clean up in here, and hopefully it's warm enough to spray some paint. sometime this year, hopefully. If you get this car back, yeah, if you get this car back, and you're like working on it, and you're like, hey, there's overspray all over the frame here. This frame was nice and powder coated. That sucks. Well then, you're right, that sucks. I'm doing everything I can here. Not a miracle worker. But we'll see. Generally, that's not the order of operations, is, as you know, setting a body like that down on a new powder coated frame and then doing all the paint and bodywork process. But it is what it is. I think I should be able to keep it fairly clean. Almost done masking. I've got the other side to go on the bottom. So yeah, it's kind of cold this weekend. Almost 50 in the garage. Next weekend's gonna be in the 60s. So, I may wait till next weekend. I mean, it's already been this long. What's another couple of years, right? It is what it is at this point. But yeah. Well, back to masking. Hey, we're back. I haven't done anything since that last clip. Yeah, so anyways, I got some fine line tape to do the stripes. Go back and forth on how I'm going to do that. This stripe template that you bought is not so good. The lines aren't straight, and it could be because it's been sitting around, but they're kind of shrinking up, and I don't know. I'm going to use 1/4 inch for the pinstripe of the stripe and the space in between. Technically that's not the right size. These were an oddball size, but I'm just going to do it all in 1/4 inch. So I'm not going to use this. I'll use this as a kind of template-ish, or not, or I might just do them however I want. But yeah. So anyways, between this being a light blue metallic, not ideal for painting in pieces like this, adding stripes into it, also not ideal for painting in pieces like this. And anyways, yeah. Pretty much everything about this paint job has been worst case scenario for me, as far as the condition the car was in when I got here, and the colors and stripes and everything. I just want to complain, so I thought I'd turn this on to do a little bitching. Alright, I'm done. I'm gonna mask this now. So you might not know this, but I can't see very good. It's a good thing I paint cars. I only have one good eye. The other one's pretty much useless. And the one good one is not that good sometimes. So as you can see right here, I'll find stuff like this. A couple pinholes. This is in final primer. Pretty much ready for base. This camera won't focus. I don't know. Anyway, there's 2 pinholes here. I have 2 spots on the other 1/4, and I have this. You can't see nothing. Right here. A little gap. There's probably filler right here. Or something. I don't know. Looks like metal. Anyways, what I do when I have pinholes to fill, or stuff like that, at this point I don't want to use glaze, because if you fill them with glaze, then you have to go back and prime over it. And who wants to do that when you're at this stage, ready to spray some paint? I have these two spots here, which I think we were working on something in the garage, grinding some metal. I think a couple pieces of metal hit it right there. That's what I'm gonna go with. Anyway, what I do, what did I do? Oh, in my pocket. This is UV clear. They also make a UV primer and little touch-up things like this. But I find the clear works better. And a UV light to cure it. So this has a brush, it's like a touch-up thing. It's got a brush on the end of that. Take this out, dab it in those spots. You put this light on it for 20 seconds, and it's hard and ready to sand. So then I'll sand those off with some 800. And that's what I will do on any spots like that I find. Also, if you get your car painted and you see one you missed, this is clear, so you can sand it and buff it. But yeah, had this for a long time at work. It's RBL Products UV clear coat. Cures in 20 seconds. I usually do it 2 times just to be sure. But yeah, that way you can sand that off and just base right over it. Like I said, this kit came with the primer also. I find that the primer doesn't really fill that good like the clear does. So yeah. Alright, it's been so long since this thing was final sanded. Like I said, I think I mentioned before that the scratches can seal back up, even though it shouldn't, because this primer was cured really well. Anyway, you should always go back over it before you paint when it's been sitting that long. So I got gray Scotch Brite. I'm just going to cruise over the whole thing. And also, the seam sealer has been sitting for a week, so you want to scuff that up too. Like so. So, I'll be doing all the seam sealer, cruising over the whole body. And I might not scuff in here too good, because I mean, I'll give it a little. Who cares about that? Trunk weather strip gets glued on top of it. Anyways, so I'm gonna do that, blow it off, clean it, wax and grease it, and then it's ready to paint whenever I decide paint time is. So it's still cold out, but I wanted to get a couple coats of base on here. That way it can sit and dry up, and then I can come back and denib it and put 2 final coats on. So you can see the fan situation in my booth isn't ideal, which I knew. So anyways, color goes on the super modelly and splotchy as expected for a light blue metallic. It's gonna be fun. We'll see how it looks after. This is just 1 coat. We'll see how it looks after a 2nd coat. And yeah, the only way you can do these, painting them in pieces like this, is you have to make sure you get full coverage. So I double coat the edges every time, but it's hard to do a nice, like what you would call a drop coat, because you're not going to do that the same on every panel. So you have to be able to spray your edges wet and have it dry and be even. So that gets difficult on a color like this. That's where the problem's going to be. We'll see how it goes. I'll do a wet coat. What I typically do is after I have the jam covered, I put my coat on the outside. I'll come back and hit the edges again with a wet coat. And hopefully it kind of just blends all in. If it doesn't, and you have to do a drop coat to get it to look even, that's where you have a problem. when you put it together and everything's a different color. So that's when spraying in pieces is not ideal. Yeah, and then we won't know until we put it together, because by the time I put the doors on, the car is already going to be buffed. So when I put it together and it's all different colors, we'll the only way to fix it would be to sand it down, do one coat all together, and then re-clear the whole car, which I can't do here. Another reason why I'm doing it in pieces is because I can do it in the garage. I'm not going to be able to have this car assembled and clear the whole car all at once. That's just too much to do here. You need a real paint booth to do that. But anyway, I'm babbling. I'm going to get this thing packed off with my microfiber towel and put a second coat on. Alright, so there's a second coat, and when I did this coat, I hit the edges here 2 or 3 times, like I was saying, and got it nice and wet. It looks like it blended in, laid down okay. So, hopefully, this will work out. So now at this point, I'll come back and cruise over it with 1,000 or 1,500 or 12 or whatever I feel like. Denib the dirt, knock it down smooth again. Put one final coat on, heavy edges, just like this time. Then that should be good. And then I'll come back the next day, lay out my stripes, spray the black, unmask it, and clear the body. You have 24 hours to clear this after base. After that, you have to scuff it and shoot another coat of base. Doesn't matter. This is just to get everything covered. I'm going to sand all this anyway, so this all gets scuffed. And yeah. So, since I know somebody's going to ask, the ideal way to do this would to be get everything covered like this. The doors, inside and out, the fenders, everything covered in base. Assemble the car, you know, fenders, doors, hood, trunk. Spray one final coat of base over everything. Disassemble the car and clear it all in pieces. That's not really doable. We don't even do that at the shop because you don't have enough time to, after you get the car disassembled, our booth's not big enough to paint everything at the same time. So you have to clear the car, get it out of the booth, get the parts in the booth with enough time before your window's up for clear coat. It's just not really doable. You could intercoat or base coat clear base, DBC 500, whatever, over everything after you're done, and then it can sit for longer than that window, and then you can scuff it before you clear it. So that's an option there. But anyway, it's a huge hassle. Then you're hanging doors and fenders, trying not to scratch anything while it's in base coat. I mean, you're doing that anyway after it's painted, but still, that's just another step. And that's why some of these paint jobs get so expensive. There's so much time involved, and people just don't realize it. But we'll just do it this way and cross our fingers and hope everything matches when it's done. Luckily, this thing has 2 feet wide door gaps, so that'll help us with the color difference. We'll put some of the chrome door edge trim on there. Perfect. We'll just add one on the front between the fender and the door. Custom. So yeah, I didn't get a very good coat on the roof. It was dry in the middle. Doesn't matter. This is all getting sanded. I'll have to make sure and hit that good on my last coat though. So this might be sitting. I'll get it sanded and ready for the final coat of base this week, and hopefully get this body cleared next weekend. Whenever it's the warmest. I don't know if it'll be warm enough on Friday after work or not. Might have to wait till Saturday. Then I can unmask it, sand the firewall, paint the firewall, take this booth apart, scoot the car over, rebuild the booth narrower, start working on parts. It's never ending. This car's never going to be done. So that's where we're at as of right now. And right now is Sunday, March 30th at 2 o'clock. So anyway, that way you'll know how much of a slacker I am between now and the next video. So I've used 2 quarts of paint to get the body covered pretty much. I'm not positive the roof's covered. I know the quarters and the jams and the rockers, they're covered. So I bought, that's just basically 2 coats, 3 coats on the edges. It mixes 2 to 1. So it is not a 1-to-1 base. That would generally be idealer, but a lot of bases, even Sickens, so it's not just cheap base, that's 2 to 1. Anyway, this is Urichem. I've used it many times, and it's always covered pretty good. I wouldn't say it covered bad. Almost 2 coats it covers. A little more maybe. But, so I bought 2 gallons and 2 quarts. Those 2 quarts are gone. I wanted to have some extra to tint the bed liner to do the inside of the car. Don't need a ton for that. I think a pint or something. So, my buddy was like, you're going to have so much paint left? I'm wondering if I need to order more paint. So if it took 2 quarts to do this, it's probably going to take 2 quarts to do the fenders and the doors. Quart or for the hood and the trunk, both sides of the trunk. Anyways, I'm not sure why I turned the camera on for this, but basically how I do this is I have 2 gallons of paint, usually. One for ground coat, one for the final coat. So you get everything covered with your ground color can, then you use the final coat can for the final coat and all your edges. So if I run out, I'll run out before I'll have a better idea. I can always order more ground coat. You just can't run out your final color before you're done with everything. You can intermix the cans, you know, get an extra gallon can and dump half a gallon of each into them, mix them back and forth a bunch of times, but I find it's easier just to have a ground coat can and a final coat can. So that's how I do that. I'm not sure why I'm telling you this, but I'm just wondering if I have enough paint. I should. There should definitely be enough paint for this, but I wouldn't have thought I'd use up 2 full quarts, 3-quart sprayable just to do this so far, and I still have to put a final coat or 2 on. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking about right now.